Guys, I just wanted to film this separate little vignette because my last video, which was the sit down for this ultimate massive luxury haul, was such a huge hit with you guys, my longtime subscribers, with a lot of you who are new, and a lot of you asked for information on common items. So I want to go through and give you the style information on the most popularly mentioned items from that video. So I also got another piece of feedback from a subscriber saying that when I show the tags, it always shows backwards. And the reason it shows that way is because I film on photo booth on my laptop. I don't have any expensive equipment, and it tends to flip the picture around. So I apologize if you've been having difficulty locating or reading the style numbers. I'm going to put them on the screen so that you guys can see exactly how it reads. But without further ado, let's get into that. And for those of you who are here just for that information, you can stop watching after that. But for those of you who are interested in the career video that will follow this, please continue to watch. So probably the queen bee winner from the haul last time was this beautiful 255 in this distressed leather sort of acid wash look. One question that I got was, what size is this? Is it a 255? Is it the jumbo, or is it the maxi size? And this is actually the classic 255. So I would say it's most equivalent to a medium large, more toward the large size. It is not a jumbo, and it is certainly not a maxi. So I hope that that helps in terms of giving you some size information. Now, as far as the ticket information, I'm going to hold it up to the screen for those of you who like to read it that way, but you can also see it printed on the screen as well, and you can just pause and take a screenshot. So here is the information. This is not current season, but I imagine you could find it if you worked with a sales associate. You can see it's a 17K. Current season, I think, is 18. Well, it makes sense, right, if it's 2017. The price on this was $5,500, and here is some more SKU information. So again, I hope that's helpful for you who are looking for that bag. I also got another question asking whether that particular print, this gorgeous, just distressed print, was available on any other bag. I don't know. It would be a great question for a sales associate. I had never seen this print before I saw this bag, so it could be that it's something special that they did with the 255, but I absolutely love this bag. The second most popular item that I was asked about on this video was this clutch. And as you can tell, I still have not had a chance to wear it. I recently took it on vacation, but I did not pop it out because I didn't end up wearing the outfit that I intended for it to go with. But this gorgeous clutch, it's got the gold sort of distressed hardware. It's got the two zipper compartments. I also had someone ask if I could do more detail on some of the handbags. If you have a particular handbag that you would like me to do detail on, please let me know in the comments. The videos tend to get really long, especially if I do a haul of that size or any haul, because I'm usually hauling a lot of things and include a lot of details about the bag. So I purposely do leave those out, but I am open to providing you whatever detail you would like to see with the bags. Now onto the tag information. So this is current year. So you can see it's an 18 bag, and here it is. Again, it will be on screen. And this one was $3,600. I think someone else had a question about the price. And here is further information. So again, this was a very popular one, and I absolutely love it. Chic, beautiful color. I believe this also came in black, but I thought this color was so special. The last two items I'm going to share with you were jewelry items that I was asked about. So I was asked a couple of times about this necklace that I hauled. And I do have the ticket information for that. The name of this was the Pearly Crystal Necklace. This is also from the 2018 collection. So there you go. Again, this will be on the screen. This one was a little bit pricey. So the price on this is here. Oh, it doesn't help that I'm covering up information. But I will also put that on screen. Also, a couple people asked me about the earrings that I was wearing in that video, and they were these beautiful chunky gold CC earrings. And I do have the tag information on that. And it is here. And as a reminder, I got this in these in Vegas. So there is a sales associate there named Natalia, and she is wonderful. And she can potentially help you locate it. I also highly recommend Beverly at the Chanel at Saks. She always is very quick to respond to me with a couple, whenever I ask her about a particular item, she'll either find it or she'll come back to me right away and say, hey, I wasn't able to locate it, but I'll continue to look. So those were the most commonly asked about items from my massive epic haul. I hope that was helpful to you. Please do let me know if you have any success in finding them. And if you find them, I hope that you absolutely love them and enjoy them. And I'm glad that I could be of some inspiration to your wardrobe. Okay, and with that over with, then let's get to the content of this video, which is 5 ways to ace your first management. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is a video that is in response to a subscriber request that I got. And I thought it was a really good video to shoot, especially since my career videos tend to be pretty popular. And so as you can tell from the title, this one is geared toward those of you in your career who are just moving into management positions. Now, this could be managing people directly, or it could be managing a process with no direct reports. I think the 5 tips that I'm going to give you still very much apply. And so without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to look down a little bit because I did make some notes. I wanted to be well prepared for this conversation with you. But I also invite you, if you have any further questions, to feel free to leave them in the comments below, and I will respond to them as quickly as possible. So the first tip I have for you is to change from an individual mindset to a service mindset. When you were an individual contributor, it was all about you and the task and getting it done. And you were aware that you were part of a larger community, but you were mainly judged on the quality of your direct output. Now, this could change over time as you've moved from a newly minted individual contributor to one that's on the cusp of a management type role. But it is really important that you ask yourself the following questions, which you may not have considered before. The first is, what can I do to help my team? From my perspective as a leader, 9 to 5 or during working hours, whatever your working hours are in service to your team. So I am fully available from 9 to 5, even though I do have deliverables that I'm responsible for myself. But from 9 to 5, my team can come and engage with me and interact with me on an open door basis. I want to also let you know that I did make a video probably about a year or two ago called How an Open Door Policy Will Cost You. And if you want to know more about making yourself available to your team during the day and what the ramifications are of that type of management style, check out that video. But I spend my time during working hours figuring out how to make my team's life better. I get my personal work done after all of that. So it will be typically after my meetings are done for the day, after my one-on-ones are done for the day, then I can work on my deliverables. That is part of what's included in increased compensation at the manager level. That's what you're getting compensated for, is that additional care, that additional attention to detail, and that additional responsibility of leading a team. You should ask yourself, how do I clear roadblocks for my team? There are going to be things that your team has to do day to day that may be in competition with others for resources, for sometimes deadlines and timelines that have to be set in relation to other things. And so your responsibility now is to make sure that you're coordinating everything so that those individual contributors can just do their job and have the easiest path forward to do their job. And then the last part of that is asking yourself how I can help my team grow. And that means really knowing the people who work for you. I know that this is a challenge when you're leading larger teams, but to the extent that it's possible, get to know your team. Understand what inspires them. I've talked before about the fact that I don't think that it's possible to motivate someone. They're either motivated or they're not. I do believe it's possible to create an environment in which it's just miserable for people to work, but I think that people are inherently self-motivated, and I think that in general, all people want to be is seen and understood and valued as individuals. And so your job as a manager is to try to do that as much as possible, especially to the extent that it serves the greater good and the greater purpose. I believe that you will have people who work harder for you if they feel that you care. And so that is step one before you start to lead, before you try to guide, before you try to offer advice, before you try and offer anything. You really have to get to know people and let them understand that you care. If you don't generally care, skip this step and you probably should not be a manager. I'm just telling you right now, you will burn out and you will find yourself going, what did I get myself into? It's interesting that, people, when they're put into their first manager jobs, they're put into those manager jobs typically because they do a great job as an individual contributor. There would be nothing wrong with trying a manager role for a little while and saying, hey, it's not for me. I tell my team every day, management ain't for punks. It is not for punks, because there is a whole nother layer of things that you are responsible for on top of being held accountable for your own deliverables. So that wraps up tip number one: move from an individual mindset to a service mindset in favor of your team. The second thing I want to talk about is including the why and the how with the what. Again, as an individual contributor, you were assigned tasks that you had to do, and it was about the what, getting the what done, doing that thing, getting it in on time and early, and moving on to the next deliverable. If you finish early, a good practice as an individual contributor is always to see if you can do more to help your team. But now, as a manager, you have to really focus on the why and the how. Let's talk about the why first. The why is in regard to how does my team's activities fit into the bigger picture of everything that my company is trying to accomplish. If you are running a customer service line, if you are leading a customer service team, that links directly into how your company is perceived from a reputation perspective. It links directly into the top line revenue of your company. And so your goal on a day-to-day basis should be to make your team's job easier to enable those things. And if you're receiving feedback where you receive a series of customer calls and they're all centered around the same pain point, connecting that to the mission of the company is now your job. If people are calling in and complaining about a particular product and there's a common defect, how can you get that information to management so that they can make some decisions around modifying that product or reaching out to those customers? It is all about thinking about what you can do next. Excellent management is about proactivity, and it's about paying attention to trends that could affect the overall success of your company. And then the second part on the how is, how can you be more efficient? How can your team be more efficient at what they do? If you see that something within the process of what your team has to do every day is creating a rework step or a rework loop, or you feel like they could move from step A to step C and not have to do step B, and as a result become more efficient and be able to process more transactions within a day, it's your job to highlight that, understand how skipping that step or that additional productivity might affect others, and to work with your leadership to implement that change. The one thing I want to say about being more efficient, it is not all about speed. Speed needs to be balanced with quality. So how can we do more, and how can we do it just as well, but how can we do it with less? Not necessarily less people, less steps. My goal when I am leading a team is always to say, how can we be more efficient and create more interesting work for the people who work, with and for me, so that we can sort of rejuggle resources. It's never about letting people go or saying, oh, we could cut, 2 or 3 heads, by, taking out these 5 steps. that generally is a downward spiral and a path to outcome-term thinking. But you really want to think about how to become more efficient and more effective, but produce the same quality. The third tip that I want to give you as a new manager is to get comfortable with not having 100% of information. So, and that goes in two veins. One, you're going to be asked to make decisions where you will have imperfect information, and you're going to have to make a recommendation where you don't have all of the facts. If you're lucky, you have 80% of the facts. You've heard about the 80-20 rule. I actually think that it's more about the probably 60-40 rule, in that you just never have all of the information that you need to make a perfect decision. So you need to get comfortable operating in the space where you can make the best decision you possibly can based off of the information that you have. And the best way to do that so that you're understood is to say, based on my understanding, which is A, B, C, and D, this is what I recommend is the best path forward. Here are the pros of that path. Here are the cons of that path. And here are the people who need to be informed about this decision or this change. And if you really want to take it to the next level, this is the broader impact in my mind on the organization. And then pause and ask for feedback. So it's never moving ahead like a bull in a china shop on a decision that you have fallen in love with. It is really about letting people know what your train of thought is and why, what you recommend, and listening for feedback. A lot of people fall in love with a solution. You should be in love with the problem, and you should be in love with finding something that works for most. It won't work for all, but is in the greater good of the organization, the team, and the company. One of my mentors, or someone who I look up to, his name is Brad Smith. He's the CEO of Intuit. I used to work at Intuit years ago, and it's a very well-run company, and I really respect the CEO. And he used to say, as an individual contributor, you have on a hat, and that hat has your first name on it. As a manager, you have on a hat, and that hat has your team name on it. As, let's say, director, you have on a hat, and that has your division name on it. And then as you move up the chain, you have on a hat, and that hat has your company name on it. And so that just is a great example of how your perspective needs to change as you move up the line. For me, as an officer of a Fortune 100 company, I have to think of my company's greater good. And sometimes the company's greater good trumps what you would like to see on your team. As an example, you can be, and this is not the case for me, but as an example, you could be light on resources, but understanding that the company has certain financial goals, you can understand that it is not as simple to get more headcount or more budget or whatever the case might be. So again, thinking more at a company level and being comfortable making decisions where you do not have all of the information. I also want to caution people, because this is a trap that you get into, balancing speed with perfection. Yes, you want to meet your deadlines. Yes, you want to make sure that you over-deliver on what people expect, but it's not about always getting it done as quickly as possible. It is not always about getting it done as quickly as possible, and it's also not about being 100% perfect. You have to have that balance between speed and perfection. That is sort of the golden ticket to making things happen. I know I went a little bit on the sidebar about, just the different thinking at different levels. That might have been more related to item 1, but that popped in my mind and I wanted to share it with you. The fourth thing that I want to talk to you about is, and this will sound cutthroat at first, but I will explain myself. You want to do it better than your predecessor. I will start, and that means the person who came before you. I will start by saying, so typically when you get put into a manager role, it's either, you are succeeding someone who's gone on to a bigger role, or they've created a position for you. In either event, you want to make sure that you are outperforming. You want to, in the case of a newly created role, you want to make sure that you show the value of that role, not by bragging, but just by the outcomes that your team has, right? That were better than if they had not created the role in the first place. And on the other side of that, if you are succeeding someone, you want to take a look at the way they did it or did whatever, you want to take a look at the way that they did that role and see how you can improve upon it. By the way, I wish this for everyone who's come after me in any role that I've done as well. So I don't mean this to sound cutthroat, but there's always opportunity for improvement. Each of us come into each role with the set of strengths and the set of things that we need to work on. And that includes me, and that includes everyone up the chain of your company to the gal or guy who runs the top. And so if you are coming into a role with a new skill set, it's likely going to be slightly different than the one before you. And so you can kind of capitalize on your strengths by saying, this is what I'm good at that the person before me may not have been as strong at. And so, this is where I'm going to put my energy. Of course, that's got to be matched with the time, the resources, the needs of the job. But I would always strive to do it better than your predecessor. And you can do it better than your predecessor without being disrespectful to who your predecessor was. In my new role, my predecessor was very different than I am. However, she had very different strengths than I did. There were other things that I can see that she would have clearly done better than I do. And so it's all about a balancing act of bringing you to the table. You were selected for that management role because of something special that you had. And so don't be afraid to bring that into your job and feel confident in that space and really try and take it to the next level. Okay, so we're at tip number 5, and this will not be a surprise to you because of the nature of my channel, but this will not be a surprise to you because of the nature of my channel, but I really want you to dress the part. Now, that does not mean that yesterday as an individual contributor, you came in a sweatsuit and today you're going to wear a ball gown, right? But that just means stepping it up a little bit just to dress the part a bit. So as an example, if your company is t-shirt and jeans, like I come from Silicon Valley, and that was perfectly acceptable at a lot of companies, you might want to do jeans and a blouse and some nicer shoes. If your company is business casual, you might want to throw on a blazer every now and again. It does make a difference. I wish that it didn't, but it does make a difference in terms of how you project yourself and how you portray yourself. I've talked in other videos about how as an African-American female who looks relatively young for the role that she has, even though I'm not that young, I am very much aware that I need to be pulled together because that adds a little bit more credibility instantly that I would have if I walked in, looking much more casual than I do going to work. So it's just something to keep in mind. You don't have to blow everybody's mind the next day when you walk into the office and completely make a change. But I would also be aware that, there's nothing wrong with stepping it up and, dressing the part a little bit and making sure that you carry yourself in more of a managerial, more of a managerial way, so to speak. So that concludes my 5 tips to acing your new role as a manager. I want to congratulate you for all of the new managers who are watching this video. For the existing managers who might have needed a couple tips and brush up, thank you for being here. If you are not yet a manager and watching this video, wow, good on you. You are well on your way to the top. Again, it's about being proactive and thinking about the next level and thinking about the next steps. There are other tips that I could have included in this video, but I tried to narrow it down to what was actionable in the first few months of your manager position. If you have any questions or would like to ask me anything in the comment section, please feel free to leave that below. I try to get to them as quickly as possible, but sometimes there can be as long as a week or so delay, and I really try to get back to you as soon as possible because I love doing this. As always, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you like this content, which includes career, beauty, and lifestyle, please subscribe to my channel. And if you'd like to be notified every time I upload a video, hit that bell and a notification will pop up and let you know that Lady Lux has uploaded another video. All right, so I hope those career tips were helpful. Until next time, I will see you later.